I was sitting quietly at the end of a long wooden table. The room was fancy, full of expensive chairs and golden lights, but my heart felt heavy. My parents were smiling like everything was perfect. The lawyer looked serious as he handed my sister Vanessa a check. She took it with perfect nails and a fake smile. $10 million. Everyone clapped softly. Vanessa gave a small laugh, acting like she was surprised, but I knew she wasn't. She always knew things. She always got what she wanted. Then my mother turned toward me. My father followed. Both had the same cold look on their faces. Then they said the words, "I'll never forget. Go earn your own," just like that. No check, no letter, no hug, no explanation, just those four cold words, like I didn't belong, like I never mattered. But I didn't cry, I didn't move, I didn't even blink. I kept my eyes on the shiny table, pretending I didn't feel like falling apart. My heart was beating so fast I could barely breathe. And then something happened. An older man in a gray suit stood up slowly from the corner. He looked like he didn't belong there either. He reached into his inside pocket and pulled out a small old envelope. "My apologies," he said quietly. "There's one more document that must be read." The room froze. The lawyer's assistant took the envelope and held it up. It had handwriting on it, strong, neat, a little shaky at the end. I knew that writing. I would know it anywhere. It was my grandfather's. My mom's smile dropped. My dad looked uncomfortable. Vanessa's eyes narrowed like she was trying to guess what was inside. That envelope changed everything. It was the beginning of something big, a storm that would tear apart the lies my family had spent years building, and it took me back to a place I hadn't seen in over a year, my grandfather's ranch, just outside of Charleston, South Carolina, a place that used to feel like peace. Now it felt like a house full of secrets. The gravel crunched under my boots as I stepped out of the car. The wind chimes on the front porch were moving softly. I remembered how they used to sing in the summer wind, back when Grandma made sun tea and Grandpa read the newspaper on the porch, but now the sound felt empty. The white paint on the front door was still chipped. The magnolia tree still leaned a little too far east, but something about it all felt wrong, like I wasn't welcome anymore. I knocked on the door, my hands shaking. For a second I expected no one to answer, then the door opened, and there she was, my grandmother. Her arms were crossed. Her face looked sharp, almost angry. "So you finally decided to show up," she said. Her voice hadn't changed, still strong, still cold. I froze. "Grandma, what's going on?" She looked at me with eyes full of pain and fire. "They told me you didn't care," she said, "that you were too busy, that you had a new life. But your grandfather, he called for you. Claire, he called for you every day on his deathbed." My chest tightened. I stepped closer. "That's not true," I whispered. "I tried to call. I even came by in March. Vanessa was here. She told me nobody was home." Grandma's eyes narrowed. "We were here," she said. "We were always here." She turned without another word and walked back inside. I followed her, heart racing. Inside, the air was heavy. The walls looked the same, but the silence was louder than ever. She came back holding something in her hand, a small, worn leather notebook. "This is the number he kept calling," she said, handing it to me. I looked at the page. It was his handwriting, but the number wasn't mine. "Grandma, I've had the same number since college. This isn't it." She stared at it in silence. "They told us you changed your number," she said slowly. "They said you didn't want to be found, that you were ashamed of us." My hands started shaking. "No," I said, backing up. "They lied to you. They cut me off on purpose." She sank down in her old chair by the fireplace, like the truth had knocked the wind out of her. "They told me the funeral was at noon," I whispered. "I went to the church. It was empty." Grandma looked up, pale and broken. "The funeral was at 9, she said. "They told everyone you didn't show, that you didn't care." I felt like the floor disappeared under me. "I would never have missed his funeral," I whispered. "Never." There was silence between us, but it wasn't empty. It was full of pain, confusion, and slowly truth. Then Grandma stood. Her hands shook, but her eyes were full of fire again. "I'm calling them," she said. "Who?" I asked. She didn't answer. She walked to the old rotary phone on the kitchen wall, the same phone Grandpa refused to replace. She began dialing. Every click of the dial sounded like thunder. When someone answered, she spoke with steel in her voice. "Betty, I need you, Jacob and Vanessa here, now." I could hear protest from the other side. "No," she said, cutting them off. "It can't wait. 1 hour." Then she hung up. She turned back to me. "The lawyer is on his way too." I blinked. "Grandpa's lawyer?" She nodded. "Yes, he left instructions. But he said they can only be read when everyone is present." She didn't say anything else. She didn't need to, because something inside me already knew. I sat at the old kitchen table, the same one where Grandpa used to drink his coffee every morning. Everything in the house looked the same, but the feeling was different. It was quiet, but not peaceful. It felt heavy, like the walls were holding their breath. I looked around and remembered how Grandpa used to sit there with his newspaper. He would ask me about my science classes, and he never laughed when I shared something strange.
He always listened, and he always made me feel like I mattered. Outside, the wind moved through the trees. The soft sound of the chimes on the porch came through the window. I used to love that sound. Now it made me feel sad. I heard tires on the gravel outside. The doorbell rang. Grandma put her hand on my shoulder and told me to stay in the kitchen. She said she would call me when it was time. I sat still and listened as they came in. I heard my mother's voice first. She sounded too sweet, like she was pretending. She said something about how the house smelled the same. Then my dad spoke. His voice was calm but cold. He said he thought everything was already taken care of. Then Vanessa came in. She sounded annoyed, asking why they had to come so suddenly. I knew they didn't expect me to be here. They didn't know what Grandma had planned. Then I heard Grandma's voice. It was strong and sharp. She asked them to sit down and said the lawyer was coming. Nobody sounded happy. There was silence for a while. Then I heard the front door open again. A new voice came in. It was the lawyer. This won't take long, he said, but it has to be done properly. Then Grandma called my name. Claire, come in now, she said. I stood up slowly. My heart was beating fast. I walked into the living room, and when they saw me, everything changed. My mother's smile froze. My dad looked tense. Vanessa's eyes went wide like she had seen a ghost. I didn't say anything. I just walked over to the chair across from them and sat down. I kept my back straight. I looked calm, even if I didn't feel that way inside. The lawyer gave me a small nod, then opened his briefcase and pulled out a large envelope. He said it was my grandfather's official will, and that he would now read it.
He started with Grandma. Grandpa left her the ranch, the house, and enough money to live comfortably. He said she would know where to find the rest. Grandma didn't react. She just listened. Then the lawyer read my name. To my granddaughter, Clare Whitman, he said. The air in the room felt tight. I leave the Whitman Research Annex at 317 Laurel Creek Road, Charleston. This includes all lab equipment, funding accounts, research patents, and intellectual property. Nobody moved, but I felt them all look at me. Then the lawyer said the rest of the estate, money, stocks, and retirement funds would be split between me and Vanessa. That's when the explosion happened. Vanessa stood up fast. Her chair made a loud noise on the floor. She looked shocked and angry. She said this wasn't fair, that the annex was supposed to be hers, that our parents promised her everything if she stayed close to Grandpa. She said she visited him and did everything they asked. My dad said nothing. My mom stared at the floor. I just sat there, quiet, watching. Then the lawyer raised his hand and said there was more. My grandfather had written a letter just for me, a personal letter, and he wanted it read aloud in front of everyone. Grandpa took the letter from a drawer and gave it to the lawyer. She said Grandpa made her promise not to open it until this moment. The lawyer opened it slowly. It was my grandfather's handwriting. I recognized it right away, and then he began to read. The room was completely silent as the lawyer began reading the letter. His voice was calm, but the words hit deep. I could hear each one like it was meant just for me. To my dearest Claire, he read, if you are hearing this, then I am no longer with you, but my love for you and my belief in you will never fade. I felt my chest tighten. My eyes began to sting, but I didn't look down. I wanted to hear it all. You were always the quiet one, the letter continued. You noticed things others ignored. You asked questions no one else wanted to ask. You searched for truth, even when it hurt. No one said a word. My mother shifted in her seat. My father looked away. Vanessa crossed her arms. You built your own path in a family that often made you feel like a stranger. But I want you to know this, Claire. You were never a mistake. You are my pride. You are the part of me that believed in something more. A tear rolled down my cheek. I didn't wipe it away. I remember how you used to sit on the porch with that little notebook, tracking raindrops and clouds. You were only 7, but your mind was already special. You didn't need permission to be curious. You just were. And I loved that about you. Vanessa looked down. My mother kept her lips tight. My dad still stared out the window, pretending not to hear. The lawyer kept reading. I saw how your light dimmed over the years. Not because you were weak, but because the people around you didn't know how to love you as you were. I watched them praise Vanessa for fitting in, while they ignored you for standing out. And I saw how that broke something in you. But I want you to know, I saw everything, and I was always proud. I could feel the pain building in my throat, but I stayed strong. I wanted them all to hear it, every word. There were times I wanted to speak up, but I didn't, and for that I'm sorry. I thought I had more time. I thought they would see what I saw in you, but they didn't. So now I give you this, your own place, a place to think, to create, to grow, a place where no one can shut you out. The lawyer folded the letter slowly and gently placed it on the table. No one moved. The air was thick with silence. I took a deep breath and spoke. I remember that notebook, I said quietly. I still have it. I won the science fair that year, but Mom didn't come. She went to Vanessa's dance recital instead. Vanessa looked uncomfortable. She opened her mouth but didn't speak. Dad cleared his throat. Claire, maybe this isn't the time. No, I said firmly. It's the only time, because this is the first time anyone ever said out loud what I felt my whole life. You all pushed me aside. I was never enough for any of you. I was always too quiet or too different. And when I finally achieved something, you acted like it didn't matter. Vanessa snapped. You're being dramatic. I worked hard too, okay? Don't act like I didn't earn anything. I looked at her and nodded slowly. You did what they wanted. You smiled when they asked. You said the right things. You became what they understood. But me? I wasn't trying to play a role. I was just trying to be myself. Vanessa's voice rose. And you think you're better than me now because Grandpa gave you a building? You think that makes you special? No, I replied. What makes me special is that I never gave up on who I was, even when all of you tried to erase me. My mother stood up quickly. That's enough, Claire. We didn't erase you. You just pulled away. You disappeared. Grandma stood up too. Her voice was sharp. No, she said. She was cut off, lied to, given a fake phone number, told the funeral was at the wrong time. I was here, remember. I believed what I was told, and now I know the truth. My mother opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I sat there, calm now, not angry, not crying, just tired of pretending. This moment wasn't just about the will, it was about the truth, finally being seen. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel invisible anymore. The room stayed quiet for a long time after that. No one looked at each other. The truth had been said, and no one could take it back. The air felt heavy, like everyone was trying to decide what to say next, or if they should say anything at all. Vanessa sat down slowly. Her face was red, but her eyes were dry. She didn't cry. She never cried, not in front of others. My father rubbed the back of his neck and let out a deep breath, but still said nothing. My mother kept looking at the floor, like she was waiting for someone to rescue her. I sat still, feeling everything and nothing at the same time. The truth was out now, and even if they didn't admit it, I knew it had hit them. I didn't need their approval anymore. I had something better. I had proof that I mattered to someone who saw me for who I was. Grandma finally broke the silence. Walter trusted Claire, she said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was strong. He left her the one thing he spent his whole life building. That means something, whether you like it or not. No one argued. The lawyer quietly gathered his papers and stood. That concludes the reading, he said. Everything in the will is legal and final. I'll be in touch with any paperwork. He looked at me one last time. Your grandfather was proud of you, he said softly. He made that very clear. Then he left. For a moment, nobody moved. Vanessa was the first to get up. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't even look at me. She walked straight out the front door. I watched her car pull away through the window. My parents stayed behind a few more minutes. My father finally looked at me. I didn't know, he said. His voice was quiet, almost uncertain. I didn't know they gave him a fake number. I didn't answer. I wasn't ready to give him peace. Not yet. My mother stood beside him, her hands shaking just a little. We were just trying to protect the family, she said. To keep things simple. I looked up at her. You didn't protect anyone, I said. You erased me. And the worst part, you didn't even feel bad about it. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't feel sorry for her. I just felt empty. They left a few minutes later without hugging me, without saying they were proud, without even asking if I was okay. That was fine. I wasn't expecting anything from them anymore. After they were gone, Grandma and I sat on the porch. The sun was going down, painting the sky in soft orange and pink. The wind was cool. The chimes rang softly again, but this time the sound felt different, lighter, free. Grandma reached over and held my hand. I'm sorry I believed them, she said. I should have asked more questions. I should have known better. You didn't know, I said. They made sure you didn't. We sat quietly for a few more minutes. Then she looked at me. You know he left you the annex for a reason, right? I nodded. He believed in your mind, she said. In your heart. You're not like them, Claire, and that's a good thing. I didn't say anything back. I just leaned my head against her shoulder. The stars were coming out now. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The next morning, I woke up early. The sun was rising over the fields, and everything was quiet. I stood on the back porch of the ranch house, holding a cup of coffee, the way Grandpa used to. The air was cool, and the sky was clear. I looked out at the land, the trees, the small red barn in the distance. Everything looked the same, but I felt different. For the first time in years, I wasn't running from my past. I wasn't trying to fit into someone else's idea of who I should be. I was just Claire, and that was enough. Later that day, I drove to the address Grandpa had left in the will, 317 Laurel Creek Road, the Whitman Research Annex. I hadn't been there in years, not since college. It was a long white building with big glass windows and a metal sign at the front. The place where Grandpa used to work on inventions, projects, research ideas that most people never understood, but I always found fascinating. I parked the car and walked up to the door. My name was already on the paperwork. It belonged to me now. I stepped inside. The smell of old paper and fresh coffee hit me right away. Everything was clean, quiet, untouched, like it had been waiting for me. On the main desk, there was a small photo frame. It was a picture of me and Grandpa. I was 10 years old, holding a beaker and smiling. He had his arm around me. I had no idea he kept that photo here. I smiled. Then I cried. But it wasn't the same kind of crying as before. These were quiet tears. Healing tears. I spent the rest of the day walking through the rooms. There were files, machines, notes in his handwriting. Ideas I didn't even know he was working on. But now they were mine to finish. Mine to protect. Later that evening, I sat in the same chair where he used to sit, next to the window. I opened my old notebook, the one from when I was 7, the one where I used to track raindrops, and I started writing again, not because I had to, not because I wanted to prove anything, but because I finally remembered who I was. I wasn't the forgotten one. I wasn't the mistake. I was the legacy, the one he chose, and that choice gave me everything I needed to move forward. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with peace. Because when someone truly sees you, really sees you, that kind of love never dies. It lives on, in paper, in places, in people, and most of all, in me.